This is Marlis Christensen from Minnesota. My husband and I heard about Relive 4.5 years, well, I guess it was February in '09 when we were visiting our son in Oklahoma. And my husband had been struggling with, lots of different issues, but the main things were his joint pain and digestive issues and stuff. And he had tried tons of supplements through the years and never really got any lasting results. And so we were kind of back to the beginning again of just not spending more money and realizing that God had something else for us. Didn't know what at that time, but when we heard about Relive, I was very skeptical. He was all for it. He says, well, let me at least try it. So he did. And first month he saw a little bit of energy and stuff, but the second month he just said to me, you are never going to take me off of this stuff. And I just about croaked because I just thought, oh, brother, this is a whole new paradigm for us. But he says, oh, by the way, I want you and our son on the products. Well, we have two sons, the one in Oklahoma, and then our son that lives with us, was born with Down syndrome. And so that did not bother me to have him on it. He got started. I got started. I never saw any results, wasn't planning on seeing any results because I thought I was just a healthy gal in my 60s. And but anyway, he has not had one pneumonia in all the years that we've been on Relive, and I am so grateful that I did not turn it down. For me, it took me 4.5 months before I saw any results. We were making another trip to Oklahoma, and I noticed that my legs were not jumpy, Nancy. I'm almost 6 feet tall, long legs, and I just hate long car rides. And my husband says, well, maybe it's a fluke. And so on the way home from that trip, I really did pay attention, and they did not jump. They weren't antsy. I didn't even know it had a name at that point. It's called restless leg syndrome. And so I just kept on, and then it seemed like just kind of a chain of results started. I noticed that my cold sores became less. My acid reflux, which was very severe, that dissipated. I had seasonal allergies. I had 2 major food allergies to tartar sauce and mangoes, totally went away. I have rheumatoid arthritis in my knuckles. I couldn't play piano anymore, and so my sponsor told us to add another targeted product, which I did, and within 2 months I just had no more pain, and I have not had any pain since then. So 2015, I feel like a remake. Our son is just doing so well, probably the healthiest that he's ever been in his entire life. He's now 35, very alert, healthy. I'm just so grateful that God finally got my attention and made me teachable and humble. That was oh boy. But anyway, I'm just very grateful, Bill, and there's no turning back for this family.
There you go. Well, you said Nate, who had the Down syndrome, had no more pneumonia. Well, what was going on before Relive?
Oh, my. We actually pulled him out of the public school at an early age because he just caught everything that everybody had, and just so sickly. I didn't know what I would do with him. I had started homeschooling. I used to be a public school teacher, and I had started homeschooling our other son, and I didn't know what to do with Nate, but I just thought, no, we're going to see if we can't get him healthy. And all through the years, I would try this and that and supplement this and that. We had him on a regimen from a doctor in Michigan with just tons of pills, and nothing worked at all. Pneumonia was his middle name. It was a sad era of our lives, and lost him almost a couple times. And, oh, Bill, he's so healthy now. It's just exciting. So
That's great. All right. Marlis, thank you. Appreciate you coming on and joining us and sharing a little bit of what's happened for you and your gang here tonight. Thanks.
You're welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Well, now we're going to head over to Michigan. I have with us tonight Carolyn Wilson. And Carolyn, we'd love you to share some of what's happened for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is Carolyn Wilson. I am from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I am so excited to share with you the things that have happened to me since I've been taking the Relive products. Before Relive, I was in bed sickly for about 8 years and unable to work. I was diagnosed with what's called mixed connective tissue disease, and that means that you have 3 or more autoimmune diseases. For me, the autoimmune diseases that they recognized are scleroderma, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, or not, scleroderma, Behçet syndrome, and also I have another autoimmune disease that isn't coming to mind right now.
Fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia, there you go. Okay. And I've also been diagnosed with epilepsy and diabetes, several other things. I'm not going to get all of them. We'll be here all day. Anyway, to make a long story short on that, I was very, very, very sick. And I was in bed. I slept all the time. And I had not gotten any hope from the doctors that things were going to change. They wanted me to just take some steroids and go to a support group, and that was supposed to be how I was supposed to be living. I'm only 48 years old. I've got 3 children and a grandson. Don't have time to be in bed all the time. So I brought it to the Lord, and he sent my husband this awesome business online while he was looking for a business opportunity. And him and my daughter found the Relive products, and they read out the products to me, what was in them, and all of the things they noticed I had already in pill form, but they weren't working. So I was like, well, let's just give it a try. The first thing I noticed, first week, I started resting. Second week, I started getting energy. And then I didn't notice anything for a long time. And then about 4 months after I started using the products, I started noticing that my legs were working much better. And they had been working. I just wasn't paying attention. But I put that walker away. I was on a walker to forget this. I don't need it anymore. Put it away. And it's been 2 years, almost 2 years now, and I have not had to use that walker since. So I praise God for that, and I also have lost 25 pounds. I don't have as many migraines as I used to. I already mentioned that I don't take naps. I get up about 8:30 in the morning. I stay up till midnight or so, whenever I would like to go to bed. I have this business, so I'm able to be a support financially, and also, I could play with my grandson and my daughter and actually be a part of life and not just watch life go past. I also have epilepsy, and my numbers are leveled out to a normal level. I'm not even considered, I'm sorry, not epilepsy, but I have epilepsy, but diabetes is what I'm talking about. And I am not really classified diabetic anymore with the numbers that I have. They say I have to say I'm diabetic, but the numbers show that I'm not. So I am really happy about what's been going on with this business, and I'm not going to stop telling people about it, and I am never going to stop using these products. Thanks.
Wow. Well, we could probably have you on for a half an hour. I mean, there's a lot of major issues that you had to battle. Many people will have no idea what scleroderma is or Behçet's. Some people don't know what fibromyalgia is or lupus. I mean, those are all very serious autoimmune diseases and with serious side effects.
Yeah.
And, so the good news is you're no longer bedridden. You got your life. You got energy. You're out and about. You're doing things that you weren't able to do for many, many, many years. It's really turned your life around.
My whole life has been changed, and I thank God and Relive for that. And I have so much fun with this business, especially.
Yeah, it's a joy to be involved in helping people. All right, well, Carolyn, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit of your story. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, next we're heading over to Pennsylvania. Sherry Walker, we'd love you to come on and share some of your story.
Well, hi, Bill. It certainly is a pleasure to do that this evening. I am Sherry Walker. I live in Pittsburgh with my husband, and I have a background as a registered nurse. And my story really starts, I guess, about 18 years ago. I had developed severe knee pain, which really was the result of damaged cartilage. And the only way that I could get relief at that time was to have surgery. It did help the pain, but it really took about a year with therapy before my knee was back to normal. And then I started developing the same type of pain about 8 years ago in my other knee, and I knew I was probably, going down that same path and would have to have surgery on that also. Well, a friend, when she shared Relive with me, I got started right away, and I'll tell you, within 4 months' time of just being, really consistent with getting this nutrition in, my knee pain was completely gone without surgery or therapy. And I thought, I'm never getting off this stuff. Wanted my husband to get started also, because I've also had dealt with really 30 years of chronic low back pain, and I actually have not seen my chiropractor now in over 5 years for lower back pain. I've also gotten results with this dropped my cholesterol 100 points. It was up to a high of 270, and now it's down around 170. My blood pressure also came down within a normal range, so I never needed to start medication for either one of those issues, and I love that. I've also dealt with hypothyroidism for well over 30 years, and really, since taking Relive, my doctor has actually started to decrease the strength of the medication that I've been taking, and that never happened, prior to, Relive. Also, I used to deal with chronic sinus infections. I get several of those a year and would many times have to be on 2 rounds of antibiotics before I could get rid of them. I've had one minor sinus infection in the past 8 years, and really my latest result was just a couple years back. I had a stress fracture in my foot. When I went to see my orthopedic surgeon, she told me I'd have to wear one of those walking boots for 6 to 8 weeks, but I was to come back and see her in 2 weeks, and if it wasn't healing, she was actually going to cast it. Well, I just came home, just took more of this optimal nutrition. When I went back to see her in 2 weeks, both she and I were amazed. I had no pain, no swelling, and that walking boot was off in 2 weeks instead of the 6 to 8 weeks that she had recommended. My husband has had wonderful results with Relive also. This was prior to Relive. He had to have a bypass surgery at the age of 49. And after about a year of taking Relive, he actually passed a stress test for the first time. And he went from being classified as a high-risk patient down to a low-risk patient. He's also had wonderful results with irritable bowel issues that he had since childhood. And he also has gotten great results with dealing with sinus infections. And one of the best things for him actually was when the 24K came out. My husband also deals with some ADD issues, and this has really helped him to focus tremendously, and now it's helping him with his stress level. He has one of those corporate jobs that, he's kind of many times just working 16 hours a day, and he's even said to me, if I can't have the rest, I at least have Relive. And, for these reasons, we'll never, ever stop taking Relive.
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, stress. Rod had cardiac arrhythmia. Was that what he was dealing with?
Oh, yes. I forgot about that. Yeah, he also had dealt with that. And really, that too, he would have more of those when he was under stress. And probably somewhere between 6 months or maybe 6 to 9 months, somewhere in there, of taking Relive, those have been gone. He has never dealt with the arrhythmias again.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. Well, Sherry, thank you. Appreciate you coming on and sharing.
You're welcome, Bill. It's my pleasure.
Thanks so much. Well, now we're going to head up the road from where Patty and I live. We have a good friend, Richard and Eileen Daniels, and Richard's with us tonight to share a little bit of their journey with Relive.
Thank you, Bill. I'd like to do that. The journey with Relive for us began actually back in 2002. So it's been a little while now since we've been in Relive. And what happened way back then, of course, Eileen got great results with the product. Let's go with the just various pains, arthritic issues, menopause, and those kinds of things. And I was one of those individuals that was pretty much healthy. So we got started on the products. I may not get it at that time to support her because I didn't have any physical issues I knew of it. So she got great results on the product. I continue to have great health, and it was wonderful, to have that. But what happened was it turned into a business for us. It's something I never thought I would ever do. I have a teaching background, and I still teach school actually in Christian education. And so the business began for us, and I really didn't know what I was doing. I got a hold of our sponsor, and I said, I've already told you I don't like doing these kinds of things, but can I do something like this? And he says, we'll help you. And so at that point, I felt relieved, and I just turned myself over to what they said to do. And whatever they said to do, that's what I did. And really, within a short period of time, the product that we had bought, we had come in as a master affiliate. The product we bought was gone within 8 weeks. And it was not because of what I did. I just listened to what the sponsor said to do. They came alongside of us and helped us to grow the business, and it just began to grow. Now, as we've gone along, we have, we've been on trips with this company, cruises to Bermuda, etc. We have been, the company has a top 10 bonus pool that they do, and Eileen and I have been in that 4 times. And so we look at what Relive has done for us, and the opportunities that we've had. It's just been amazing. We've earned as much as $9,000 in the calendar month. We have, but the greatest thing is that we're able to help people. We got great results ourselves. It turned into business, and the business is great, but it still doesn't compare to the feeling that you get whenever you're able to help people. And to see people get their needs met, whether it be a physical need or a financial need, it's just an excellent opportunity to do something of that nature. And so, even though it's been several years now, we still love Relive. We still take it every day. We still tell people about Relive, and it just affords to us in whatever we do, because it fits right in the schedule that we have. It affords to us the opportunity just to reach out, touch the lives of people, and to know that we're helping to make a difference in their life, and that's payment in itself, just to be able to know that we have that opportunity. So we'll always keep on doing Relive.
Absolutely. Yeah, the checks to the heart are huge as you reach out and get to be a part of making a difference in other people's lives.
Exactly.
You guys have seen that over and over. I'd like to just go back for a moment back into Eileen's health results, because there's a lot more to it. I mean, I'm a tennis pro, and I deal with a lot of athletes with a lot of itises, arthritis, tendinitis, bursitis, etc. Eileen had pretty severe tendinitis.
Right, she did. Of course, she's a piano player too. And, she had to give up playing the piano. There's tendinitis in her hands, tendinitis in her arms, tendinitis in her legs, the arthritis in her back. Going through menopause at the same time. She was in pain 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's like, the people that she has been working for said to go to this particular doctor, and she did. And over a period of actually about 2 years, she went to about 5 doctors, chiropractor 41 times in a 6-month period of time. People said, do this and do that. And whatever she did in all that time, nothing worked. She still was in just as much pain as she'd always been in. And that's where we actually heard about Relive on the radio. I was very skeptical, but Eileen was wanting to hear about it. Long story short, we invited those people to come and to present Relive to us, and that's why. And then when it was all over with, when they went through the presentation, we said, okay, we'll start. And I decided to start right along with her, not because I had issues, but mainly to support her. But I look at it now. For me, if Relive is doing this for people who have these kinds of issues, what's it going to do for the healthy individual? I want to be as healthy as I can be, as long as I can be. And so I started right along with her, and she got great results within a couple of months, 5 weeks actually. She started seeing results, but it still took her. We look back at it and say, for her to be totally 100% pain-free, it still took her 7 months. But I'm glad we didn't give up. I'm glad, and she says she's glad that she didn't give up either. And today, now it's been several years ago. Like I said, that was back in 2002, and now it's 2015, and she hasn't had that pain since.
That's awesome.
Yes, very good.
Well, Richard, thank you. Appreciate you joining us and sharing part of your Relive journey with us as well. Thank you.
I'm glad to do that. Thank you.
Excuse me. Well, now we're going to head back up to Michigan. It's my pleasure to get to introduce you tonight to Carla Palisari. And Carla and her husband, David, are Presidential Bronze Ambassadors with Relive. A big title, but it just means they've built a serious business of helping people through Relive. And Carla's had some pretty dramatic results as well. And Carla, we'd love you to come on and share.
I'd be happy to, Bill. Like you said, Carla Palisari from Calumet, Michigan, and I was introduced to Relive also in October of 2002, so 13 years ago. And previous to that, really, my whole life I had suffered with constipation, food allergies, food absorption type issues. I was diagnosed with IBS when I was 17. But from the time I was 30, I did house cleaning from the time I was in my mid-20s and had started getting really extreme muscle aches. And I was eventually, after I was 30, diagnosed with fibromyalgia. But I had other problems besides not being able to sleep at night. My hair was falling out. I had extreme fatigue and irritability, and I was eventually diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune thyroid disorder. And initially they sent me to a clinic in Wisconsin for treatment, and that was, not only a long distance. We live in a remote area of Upper Michigan, but it was also expensive because we didn't have health insurance. My husband worked construction and I worked house cleaning, like I mentioned. And so it set us back financially, but the sad thing is it didn't help that much either. So then they sent me to Mayo Clinic in 97, and there they said the best thing to do is to have me drink radioactive iodine to permanently destroy my thyroid. Wow. And they said, I'd have to take medication the rest of my life, but once they got that medication adjusted right, I would be feeling better than ever. And I felt so horrible that I was like, I'll take anything, I'll do whatever. And so I happily did that. And it did help some of my problems. My goiter went away, my eyes that were starting to bulge got better, and my racing heart and tremors stopped. But sadly, it did not stop my hair from falling out. It did not help me to sleep at night. It did not help with my extreme fatigue and irritability. And ironically, I don't know if it's because it's also autoimmune, but my fibromyalgia pain got worse, and so did my depression. But I kept, when you have 3 doctors at Mayo Clinic tell you something, you believe it, and you think, hey, it's going to work. I just have to, keep trying and keep tweaking the medication. And it was 3 years later in 2000, I was, so depressed and discouraged. And I asked my doctor, I said, why am I not better? I said, I've done everything, you guys have asked. And he said, he says, I don't know what to tell you. He said, I'm really sorry. He said, but you just don't seem to absorb the medication. And he said, really, there's nothing else we can do for you. And so that was in 2000. And along the way, I should say, from the time I was a teenager with my intestinal issues, I always tried to eat healthy. I always supplemented. And, I took about 30 different supplements and drank these super greens. And if I didn't do all that stuff, I did actually feel a little worse, but I just felt like such an old woman. My husband said when I turned 40, he says, my gosh, if you're like this when you're 40, what are you going to be like when you're 60? And he was scared. Well, it was, his niece from Kansas that called in 2002 telling me about this new business she started, this Relive, and I was just rolling my eyes. And, thought she doesn't have a clue what I've been through. But when I heard I could get my money back, I thought, I've tried everything else. What's one more thing, and I'll just get my money back. But she told me, she just asked that I take it the right way. And so I took, exactly how she recommended and set aside my other supplements because she said this is complete and total nutrition. So I expected to be feeling worse, but instead, Bill, 3 days into it, I slept through the night for the first time in over 10 years. And I couldn't believe it. I told my husband that I actually slept. It can't be those stupid shakes, And but 3 days or 2 weeks of sleeping at night, and you couldn't take these away from me. I was like, I'm not going to be without these. And 3 different of my friends noticed the difference in me, although at that point I really didn't notice a difference in my fibromyalgia pain. I was just sleeping at night, had a sense of well-being and wasn't so exhausted. I wasn't taking 2 to 3 naps a day, and I wasn't so irritable, and everybody noticed that. And so at the same time, we were, actually looking at bankruptcy. And so when people started asking me, what are you doing? I'd barely been praying for an answer for our finances because I physically just couldn't keep up with the house cleaning hardly. And I was, 46 at the time, and we were just in big trouble with our finances and looking at bankruptcy, and I'd really been praying for an answer. So I thought, what if this is it? And so I asked, how does this business work? And fortunately for me, there was a conference in Chicago the following weekend, early in November, and so I drove the 8 hours down to that conference to check the company out and was just so impressed at what I saw and heard there that I borrowed the money to come in at the top profit level. And I was very nervous about doing that. I did not have the majority of my health results at that point, and we couldn't afford to take a lot, but I just, because of the 90% buyback guarantee, I just did that and treated it like a real business, applied what I heard at that conference. And the first couple of months, I averaged about $500 a month, and that was great for me because that replaced my cleaning income at that point. And then after 3.5 months of being very consistent with, 3 shakes a day, I ended up having that pain from fibromyalgia. I'm not cured of fibromyalgia, but 90% of the time I'm pain-free now, where before 100% of the time I was in pain. And also my hair quit falling out about at that point. And about 6 months later, I had new hair coming in. I never had to fuss how I parted my hair after that, and that was huge for me. My skin, hair, and nails all improved. And I also avoided a hysterectomy, something that totally I wasn't expecting results with. It totally blew me away. And also after about 6 or 8 months on the product, when I had my cholesterol done, it had come down. I could never get it under 200. It was usually around 250, and it come down to 180 something at that point. And since it's come down to 150, and my bone density, which was -2 when I was 40, after about 8 months had come up over 1 full point. And over the years, it's come up 3 full points. A few years ago when they had it done last, I think I was 55, and it was at +1, which they were shocked when they took it for my age. And then also my optometrist was impressed because my eyes improved. My astigmatisms I had since I was a teenager, after 25 years of going to the same optometrist, they were gone. And my glaucoma numbers were better than he'd ever seen them. And he actually got out the things and showed them to me. So I've just had amazing results. And I do want to say, Bill, I just believe all of it speaks to nutrition that your body can actually absorb, that our body's a miracle when it's got the proper fuel. It was designed to heal itself, and that's what Relive is, just that proper fuel. But the other thing that's just I'm grateful for every day besides my health is our finances, because as I shared with people, my goal was just to make $1,000 a month, and in 6 months I reached that goal. Then I realized other people needed as much help with their finances as I did. And so then I got excited about the business. I thought, this really works. I can, make an income with this. And of course, once you start helping people with their finances and not just their health, your checks can really double and take off. And 1 year in the business, I not only earned a check for $2,500, but I earned an all-expense-paid trip to Cancun for my husband and I, and that just blew me away. I never could imagine a trip like that. And after, I think it was in the third year, I'd been sending the product kind of underground to Germany. That opened in Germany, and then my checks kind of doubled from $2,500 a month up to $4,000 and $5,000. I became an ambassador with the company. My highest check has been close to $10,000, and I'm just grateful. I've been on many other all-expense-paid trips. The last one to Cancun in the spring, but also to Hawaii, and just so many places I never dreamed of going. Twice I've been to Europe for 6 weeks at a time, and it's just been, something I never ever dreamt of doing, and it's just amazing what this opportunity can do for people, and I'm just grateful every day for that. And that's my story.
Wow. Well, a lot to be thankful for. Powerful, life-changing health results for you all over the place. It really gave you a new quality of life. I wonder, when people are involved in house cleaning and different things, they're dealing with all those chemicals, and there's all kinds of side effects from dealing with chemicals. I've run into a number of people now.
I couldn't allow. Sometimes we had to leave a restaurant because I couldn't deal with the fragrance from people. I got horrible chemical sensitivity, and I believe, probably did contribute to some of my health issues too. And it was, that was a slower thing. I couldn't be around fragrances at all for years. I still don't. I couldn't walk down the aisle of the laundry detergents, or I couldn't go in a department store with fragrance. And a few times even shopping with my daughter, she had fragrance. I said, I'm sorry, we can't even, go shopping together because, you have that on and I just can't be around you, because it would just give me such a bad headache. And it was a slower process with getting results with that, but I'm so happy to say now I don't ever have to leave any place because of that. It might bother me, a little bit, but nothing like it did before. But right. You're exactly right.
Now, on the business side, your background was that you had done house cleaning. So how did you shift gears into telling people and helping people with Relive?
Well, it was real easy, Bill. I kept thinking, do I want to go out and try to get another job where I'm cleaning toilets? No, picking up the phone is way easier. And I just got, I always would think when I was, scrubbing someone's grout or bathroom or trying to drag a vacuum up and down stairs, what could I do? What else could I do where I could make an income? And so in one way I was ready for this, and I was ready to treat it like a real business. And so when people, because you will hear anybody that tries to do this, you're going to, people are going to be negative because they don't know, and they're going to say, oh, it will never work for you. And when I came back from that conference in Chicago all excited, I was telling my friends, and they're like, you're crazy. Nobody up here has any money. That's never going to work. And, all I thought was, you were at that conference. You weren't there with me, so you don't get to tell me what's going to work or what's not going to work. You didn't meet those people. So I think you just do have to keep picking up the phone, and no matter what people say. And I just applied the things I heard at that conference. I heard, like, who would you invite to a wedding? And I called all those people. And did the majority get on? No, but enough, and then you just keep telling people. It's really a very simple business.
We're not going to be able to help everyone, but if we help a few people, and here's one of the key items, is teach them to help a few people.
Exactly, duplication, yep. And that kind of happens automatically when people get results, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that want answers. Not everyone wants answers, whether it's for their health or for their finances. And
right.
So we're looking for people that do want an answer.
Right.
So.
I was reading in the Bible where Jesus told the disciples to go out into all the world and make disciples. And it caught me, he didn't say go out and save people. He said go out and make disciples. And how does that relate to Relive? We can go out and find the sickest people in the world, and we're helping one. But once they catch the passion and fall in love with Relive and have that desire to reach out and make a difference in other people's lives, then the multiplication process starts kicking in. Once someone falls in love with Relive, and they're no longer just using the product, but now they're beginning to make a difference. Wow, that's this multiplication process really grows and expands, and more people wind up on the product because we share the business side of Relive. And so when we add people to the product, we're doing addition. We're adding one and adding one. But if we put people into the business and show them how they can help people as well, multiplication kicks in, and it spreads all over the world, as you have certainly found out. Your business took off all the way to Germany.
Yeah, I would have never dreamt that, but it sure did.
So it really takes a life of its own, doesn't it? It goes, people know people know people. It's just, once people get results, they start thinking of people they love and care about. And they could be anywhere in the U.S., they could be anywhere in the world where Relive, because Relive's an international company, this thing can go all over the place. And you've had that pleasure.
That's for sure. Yep, and it's been a pleasure. That is for sure. Unbelievable. And I always just feel like it's my job just to show people the whole opportunity. What they do with it is up to them.
Some will, some won't, and who's next? Help a few people, teach them to help a few people, and this can become a very serious business. And it's about being proactive with it. Some people, have a bigger desire to reach out. Really, it's about caring about people. That's really the bottom line.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
If we care about people, and you see somebody hurting, and you realize this may be the answer to their prayer, then you're eager to pick up that phone and see if this might help them. If we get self-conscious and think, oh, well, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Then it has a totally opposite effect. So, or if I want to sell somebody and make a buck, that's a totally different picture. The most successful people in Relive are those who have that heart of compassion and have that drive to make a difference in other people. And as we care about people and see where they're hurting and where this could be the answer, lives are touched and businesses are built. And you have certainly done that.
And I think a lot of times it boils down to just, listening to people and letting them say what they want, what they're looking for, and then you kind of have to believe them, and that I think that makes a big difference too. Is just listening to what people tell you that they want and trying to help them get it. Then.
Yeah. We don't go out and sell Relive. We go out and find people who are hurting, and it doesn't necessarily mean people have to be in dire health straits or dire financial straits. Relive is wonderful. I put all kinds of athletes on the product, and there's people who just are sick and tired of pills and just want to take nutrition in an easy way. There's so many reasons why people get on the product. There's so many reasons people get involved in the business. We have all kinds of doctors and lawyers and professional people who get involved in Relive the business because they have that heart to reach out and make a difference. Wow. Well, Carla, I've run out of time, but it is certainly a pleasure, and we appreciate you so much for coming on and